Pati moja ikatoka ikakuja karibu niangukie, na ndege yenyewe ikaenda ikaangua mbele ya karibu na shule, na ikaangua ikiwa injini imeangalia juu.
Nikaona ndege imeanguka, tukavunja kioo cha kwanza, ndio watu tukaanza kuwa retrieve kutoka katika hiyo ndege. Mmoja alikuwa damu imetapaka katika shati lake sana, akawa ndiye rubani. Mwingine pia akatoka. Hawakuwa wameumia sana, manake walikuwa wanatembea. Tunawakumbusha toka na mzigo wako, wakafanya hivyo, wakatoka.
Ogina, Njane and Odwor were taken to the Nairobi hospital. The captain, Anthony Kagiri, was seriously injured and is in critical condition. The co-pilot, Innocent Obaga, is also receiving medical attention. The cause of the accident is yet to be determined. The plane was, however, said to be in a good condition before takeoff.
Apparently, I just also had to call the tower to confirm what could have happened if they sent them a signal of anything failing, but the tower said no. In fact, they saw them a bit low and they asked them what could have been happening. And the pilots said that operation was normal and they were good. And then that's when later on it was announced that it was down.
The three journalists were flying to Baringo to cover a NASA rally. Both President Uhuru Kenyatta and the NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga have this evening sent their messages of sympathies to the journalists. Royal Media Services Group Managing Director Wachira Waruru, who is out of the country, also wished the scribes quick recovery. Masi Kandiye Tanui, JKL.
And the rest of us too here at Citizen Television wish our colleagues a speedy recovery. Now, onto campaign news. And President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto today took Jubilee Party campaigns to a mixed reception in opposition leader Raila Odinga's political bedrock of Nyanza. The DP particularly found the tours of Kisumu and Homa Bay counties hostile after sections of the crowds heckled him. The climax of the president's visit was the reopening of the East African Brewery's production plant in Kisumu. Jackie Maribe has more.
It was by a veritable invasion of enemy territory, President Kenyatta leading Jubilee in a daring blitz of Kisumu and Homa Bay counties, taking the vote hunt right to opposition leader Raila Odinga's doorstep. Unexpected lukewarm welcome met them as they took to Mbita in Homa Bay and Ahero and Kisumu later. And early warnings by a section of the region leaders that the DP was not particularly welcome were vindicated in a hostile reception for Kenyatta's running mate.
Sikizeni, ni Kenya. Sawa? Na tumekuja kuomba kura ya Jubilee, mtatupatia? Najua kuna jamaa mwingine alisema ati Ruto asikuje Homa Bay. Kwani yeye ameombea kura Raila kuliko mimi? Mimi ndio nimeombea Raila kura kuliko Kajwang'. Awache maneno.
Kenyatta, acknowledging the electorate here, had every right to have their say at the ballot.
Haja ni ya kwamba tuataka maendeleo katika kila kona ya taifa letu la Kenya. Tunaelewana? And you deserve to be served by your government regardless of where you vote. Tunaelewana? Na hiyo msingi mimi sitawacha, tutaendelea nao.
But the DP braved the rejection and stuck to marketing Jubilee's action plan.
Mbali na hii mambo inafanyika hapa leo. Barabara inatengenezwa kutoka Mbita kwenda Sindo mpaka kule Karungu. Kilomita 80 mpya ya lami.
In Mbita, Kenyatta would open the 1 billion shilling Mbita Town Rusinga Island Bridge, saying his administration would not discriminate anyone in terms of development.
Sasa kwa sababu tuko na daraja, ile wanataka sasa ni barabara ya kuzunguka Ring Road Rusinga. Na hiyo tumekubaliana ya kwamba hiyo ya Rusinga na ile barabara ingine ya mfangamano hizo tutajenga. Sawa sawa.
Kenyatta also wading into Migingo Island waters that have been a source of friction between Kenya and Uganda.
Lakini wenzetu, ile kitu ningewaomba, sawa sawa, hata tukijua ya kwamba ni kwetu, mimi nawauliza wenzangu, tusiwe watu ambao tutatusi jirani zetu.
Kenyatta and Ruto would oversee the reopening of the EABL plant in Kisumu at a cost of 15 billion shillings, as well as the Kenya pipeline plant. Ordinarily being an opposition stronghold, Jubilee did not campaign in Kisumu back in 2013. Things being different this year, however, touting their development record and urging the
country. Stephen Leto has more.
A national super alliance brigade had flown to the North Rift County of Baringo for a series of rallies in Kabarnet, Eldama Ravine and Chemolingot. It is in Kabarnet that NASA met a hostile crowd that chanted pro-Jubilee slogans, forcing Raila Odinga, Musalia Mudavadi and Isaac Ruto to cut short their address. NASA-branded materials including T-shirts, caps and posters were set ablaze.
Sisi tulikuwa tayari leo kupokea Raila hapa. Lakini wakati tuliona pande ya Kisumu amekataa kupokea president na Jubilee, tukasema kwamba hata yeye hataongea pande hii.
Sisi hatukuwa na shida yoyote. Kama Kisumu wangemkaribisha vizuri, pia sisi tungefanya nini? Tungemkaribisha vizuri.
However, Odinga's team proceeded to Eldama Ravine to a warm reception. NASA accusing Jubilee of failed reforms in the security sector.
Tunataka kuhakikisha Kenya iko na usawa. Kila Mkenya apate haki yake. Vijana wapate kazi. Watoto wasome.
The high cost of living, skyrocketing of food prices as well as hunger scarcity in the country also took center stage, the leaders accusing the president of mismanaging the country.
Na ukipigia kura yeye, umepigia Musalia, umepigia Kalonzo na wenzake. Ndio sisi tuongoze nchi kwa usawa.
Kambani, Odinga's running mate Kalonzo Musyoka and ODM Deputy Party Leader Ali Hassan Joho combed through Machakos County in a bid to solidify the over 1.4 million votes spread across the three Ukambani counties.
And I want to warn and tell our friends, if indeed they still are our friends, in Jubilee, that we either have a country that believes in the rule of law, or we have a bandit country.
Kama iko wakati ambaye munafaa mutoke kwa fujo na mupigie Wiper kura, NASA kura, hakuna wakati wengine isipokuwa ni mwaka huu 2017.
Tomorrow, the NASA team is scheduled to campaign in President Uhuru Kenyatta's home turf of Murang'a and Kiambu. Stephen Leto, JKL.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Now, at the same time, the Electoral Commission's appeal challenging the High Court order to retender the presidential ballot printing will be heard by a 5-judge bench on Friday. Sam Gituku reports.
In an 18-point appeal, IEBC is challenging the High Court ruling that they should have consulted the public before awarding the ballot tenders to Al Ghurair. IEBC wants the Court of Appeal to find that the High Court was wrong for interpreting the case before them as a constitutional one instead of restricting themselves to the public procurement laws that do not require any public consultations in tendering processes.
And Ngati has spoken for my client's position.
IEBC further argues that the High Court should not have split the printing of presidential ballot papers from those of the other races. In the papers filed in court, IEBC wants to be allowed to proceed to print the ballot papers with Al Ghurair as scheduled. NASA had indicated it will file a cross-appeal to counter IEBC's.
That Civil Appeal number 224 of 2017 be and is hereby fixed for hearing before a bench of 5 judges on Friday the 14th July, commencing at 9:30 in the morning.
The electoral commissioners and senior IEBC officers were holed up in a day-long meeting seeking a solution out of the stalemate. This even as the commission extended the time for receiving public submissions to tomorrow. By end of today, 40 submissions had been received. Sam Kituku, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Sam. Now, in other news, 6 police officers have been killed and 4 others injured during a gun battle with bandits in Laikipia County. Reports indicate that the bandits surrounded a temporary police camp in Ngarua area of Laikipia West, where a shootout ensued. Police County Commander Richard Kipkeo-Rotich confirmed the death of the 6, but said he was still seeking more details on the attack. 2 senior anti-stock theft unit officers who had traveled from Gilgil earlier today are among the dead. The more than 200 bandits were reportedly on a revenge mission after the officers prevented them from accessing neighboring ranches. The area has recently witnessed several attacks on ranches, which saw the government launch a security operation late last year. Now, just yesterday, bandits set ablaze Sosian Ranch. Now, the sudden collapse and death of Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaissery last Friday night has baffled many who knew of the retired general's obsession with regular exercise. Cardiologists, who warn that many Kenyans face a similar risk, attribute the phenomenon to stressful lifestyles, as Wilkiston Nyabwa reports.
Many who met the late Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaissery remember him as an active man who exercised regularly, a habit he formed during his years in the military. It is why a confirmation that he suffered a fatal heart attack left many reeling. Yet the late CS is not the only seemingly fit man to suddenly drop dead. Even career sportsmen at their prime of performance have not been spared. Just last month, Cheikh Tiote, an Ivorian footballer who previously played for Newcastle United in the English Premier League and who was plying his trade in China, collapsed during a training session and died after a suspected heart attack. At least 64 footballers of different nationalities have died in the last 10 years, either in training or during a match. A heart attack occurs when an artery leading to the heart becomes blocked, usually from a buildup of cholesterol. The most common cause of heart attacks is coronary heart disease, where the arteries responsible for supplying the heart with blood become narrow owing to this gradual buildup of fatty materials within their walls. Heart attacks, cardiologists now warn, are on the rise in Kenya.
In my whole career as a medical student, as a postgraduate student at the Kenyatta National Hospital, 1970 to 1981, I remember seeing 2 patients over 10 years with coronary artery disease, 2 patients with an acute heart attack, Africans. Now we are seeing that on a daily basis in this country, if not more than 1 per hospital in this city. It's an epidemic. And
medics attribute these rising numbers to the shift in lifestyle, with diet, lack of exercise and high stress levels playing a role.
Unfortunately, the body and its ability to fight disease is related to the level of stress. The more you are stressed, the lesser or the more prone you are to actually get infections, even get these lifestyle diseases.
It is recommended that individuals get at least 150 minutes of exercise every week.
We focus more on the waist circumference and the body fat, because at times you find people with a normal BMI still getting a number of these conditions. And that is actually because of many factors that actually comprise our lifestyle. Our lifestyle comprises of a number of components. And among them, of course, we have what you call healthy diets.
And while heart attacks can be prevented with early diagnosis, medics say Kenyans are yet to adopt the habit of visiting the hospital for annual medical checkups, making coronary heart disease a quiet killer only detected at the very last minute.
A feeling of crushing chest pain, almost described like an elephant sitting on the heart or sitting on your chest. Yeah, there can be shortness of breath, especially when walking, heart beating very fast. People can get dizzy or faint.
It's not everybody who has coronary artery disease ends up collapsing. Not everybody ends up, requiring emergency treatment. So very, very important, and we can't overemphasize the need to actually have an annual medical checkup.
When one suffers a heart attack, knowing what to do in the first few minutes can also save a life.
If you collapse and you don't get BLS, basic life support, just chest compressions, you will be, if you don't have that within 8 to 15 minutes, you're irreversibly dead.
Prevention, however, is better than cure. Doctors advocating for a complete lifestyle change in order to ward off heart attacks. Wilkis Anyabwa, JKL.
And thank you, Wilkis Stir. Now, more residents are fleeing their homes following clashes between two communities along the Meru-Isiolo County's boundary. And in Busia County, Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia today launched the reconstruction of the collapsed Sigiri Bridge. Here are those stories and others in our County Wrap tonight.
Tension remains high along the Meru-Isiolo border following 2 days of inter-ethnic clashes. The clashes were reportedly stoked by the theft of a motorcycle. At least 10 people have died and over 300 families forced to abandon their homes. Leaders among the Meru Governor Peter Munya have urged the government to help restore peace. In Busia, Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia today flagged off the reconstruction of the Sigiri Bridge that collapsed 2 weeks ago, 10 days after President Kenyatta had unveiled it. The CS said the reconstruction of the 1.2 billion bridge will be closely monitored to protect it from possible sabotage. He was accompanied by Water CS Eugene Wamalwa and Area MP Ababu Namwamba.
Ifikapo Disemba 20, hii daraja imekuwa completely finished.
Mkono wa sheria ni mrefu na serikali ya Jubilee haitakubali any sabotage katika mijengo kama hii.
So mradi huu kupata mkasa ilikuwa ni pigo kubwa kwetu sisi kama wakazi wa Bunyala.
And nurses from several counties continued with their strike to press for the signing of the collective bargaining agreement. The strikes were witnessed in Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Nandi, and Trans Nzoia counties, among others. Makori Ungechi, JKL.
All right, thank you, Makori. So that brings us to the end of the news for now. We're going to take a break, come back, business news coming up, and also sports roundup. In the meantime, there's our guest for tonight, COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli, being made up. Oh my. Somebody say, oh my. You can't make this stuff up. Oh yes, you can. He's in makeup, getting ready for the show. It's gonna be a smoking show tonight. All right, in the meantime, we're asking you the question, does COTU's Francis Atwoli deserve the credit for bringing the Luhya nation together? Again, does COTU's Francis Atwoli deserve the credit for bringing the Luhya nation together? He says he does. We're asking you, simple yes or no. You can SMS us the answer, 22422, or you can tweet us at Koinange Jeff, at Atwoli Francis, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag, as always, is JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back. Plenty more ahead. Back in a moment.